Hey, what's up, everyone? We are live on playback. This is the MMA Outsiders, episode 142. My name is Dan Bando, the co host of the MMA Outsiders, alongside Jack Gold, who will be joining us shortly. It is UFC 322 Fight Week, so it's good to be on here. This is our only episode this week. Figured Tuesday just wasn't a good day this week because the card itself from this past weekend was not very good. So we figured that everybody had moved on to UFC 322, which is exactly the case. So excited to be bringing you guys along on this episode today. We're going to go about 30 minutes. We'll preview UFC 322. We will also talk about the proposed Anthony Joshua Jake Paul fight that is supposed to be taking place tentatively in December on Netflix. Joshua, should he fight Paul, would be the replacement for Gervonta Davis, who was subsequently pulled from what would have been tomorrow night's fight on Netflix. So we're going to talk about all that and so much more. But before we do, let's take care of a few particulars as we like to on this very program. So let's get into it here. The MMA Outsiders is powered by Novig, America's #1 sports prediction market, available right now in 35 states, at least until the end of the month, including California, Texas, Florida, Georgia, and New York. On Novig, you're 10 times more likely to win long term compared to a traditional sports book because you're playing against real users and not the house. Sign up today and use the promo code ETB Network for exclusive bonuses. Novig, where fans play smarter. Must be 21 or older to play. Please gamble responsibly, and if you have a gambling problem, please call 1-800-GAMBLER. All right, well, with that out of the way, let's get into some particulars here, some things to look forward to on my end before Jack comes in. And he's actually here, so we will delay that promo until later on. But Jack, how are you today?
What is up, Zan? Can you hear me, sir?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Ooh, it's good. I'm on the move. I'm at MSG, making my way to the press conference, and it's busy. I'm lost. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it definitely is an interesting arena to get around, isn't it?
Oh,
You're
I'm at the.
late.
I'm not even at. I'm late.
How are you late? We have hours until this thing. It's not till 5 Eastern.
I didn't say I was late. I said I was lost.
Oh, okay. I got you. Okay.
No, I'm just. I'm on the move. I found it. I know where I'm going now. But we have a big card this week. UFC 322. Malcolm Wellmaker, JDM. The boys are on the squad. I can't wait.
Yeah, it should be a good card. Are you officially going to the event?
No, I am officially not going to the event. It is too much for me. However, I will be at the press conference and weigh-ins. I'll be seeing some people I can if I found. Uh-oh, we've got some tweakers. Hold on. Tweakers. But yeah. How are you doing? How's first show of the week? We got a big card. What are you thinking?
Yeah, I'm doing good, man. It's been a good week. It's been a busy week. It's been a lot of just a lot of work related things, but overall though things are good. Thanks for asking.
Now what are you thinking about this card, huh?
It's a good card. We got 14 fights on it. Hopefully, I do a little bit better than I did last week. Last week was dreadful. Probably my worst performance of the year, with only 2 wins. That tops the fewest total I've had the entire year. But we're still above 50% overall, so I can't complain. But yeah, I definitely got destroyed last week in probably one of the worst performances, not just of the year, but one of my worst performances in my almost 3 years of picking fights. I did not do very well last week, and if you couldn't tell, and it was a total accident on my part. I went against some of the picks that I had on here, which made it even worse. So
Ooh, no, we had a 2-win week is not ideal.
no,
Not ideal at all. But an 8-4 week is ideal.
Yeah, and 8-4
Oh,
would be it gives ideal for you. You did pretty good. I'll be honest.
oh, now hold on a second. Now, Let's-
I can see
there
it.
it is.
I
There
can
it
see it.
is.
Yeah, you were on location for the UFC 322 press conference.
Yeah, we are on location for the press conference. We're rocking and rolling. We figured it out. We're at
Yeah, dude.
MSG, baby.
There is nothing like and I'm sure you can attest. You already have attested, but it never gets old. There is nothing like a UFC pay per view press conference. There really isn't.
There's already a line, so I guess I'm hopping in.
That's awesome. These people were smart to get there as early as they did.
I wasn't even anticipating this. I was thinking I was going to walk around, kind of do my thing.
Right, exactly. That makes total sense. Exactly.
But no, no, no. The line is packed. The line is ready to go. So we are doing the show on location. First pick of the night. Should we start going over this card a little bit?
Yeah, let's go over the card that way we can lock our picks and all that good stuff. So would you like to start from the top?
I think we should go bottom to top, but I'm going to need you to say
No,
the
no
fights
problem.
this week.
No problem. I got you. I got you. And no problem. I will take care of all of those honors for you.
I think so, yeah.
We can do that.
Perfect. Let's go.
No problem. So as I pull this up here, we have a 14 fight card from Madison Square Garden, the Mecca. As usual, it's the ninth UFC event to ever take place in New York City. It's one of their bigger events in quite a long time, I would say, when you look at the history of Madison Square Garden cards. Speaking of the history of Madison Square Garden cards, if you are bored of the night of the event, or the day of the event, rather, I did do a piece for MMA Knockout on Sports Illustrated published within the last hour or so, ranking every MSG event to have took place in UFC history so far. So if you guys are interested in that, be sure to hit it up. But yeah, we have a 14 fight card. It's pretty it's not as it's thankfully um not as dense, if you will, as the previous two cards that were fight night cards from the Apex. But let's start with the first fight of the night. We have Borishev versus Camilo. What are we thinking?
I think uh, I think the Borshev game plan is laid out. I think it's laid out. I think Camilo's at a good gym, and I think he's going to get the job done with the grappling and a submission.
Yeah, I think Camilo wins too. I'm going a little bit more conservative. I think he wins the fight by a decision, but I think we're in agreement in there that I think Borishev is in for a long night, and I think we can both agree that he's very one dimensional. Moving over to the second fight, Dana White's new favorite fighter, Asanger Suzurkai, of looking to make it two impressive wins in the UFC in a row, fighting Eric McConico. What is your read on this fight, my friend? What do you think?
I think they're giving him a layup. I think they're giving him a guinea. Sirsakayev's a minus 1,000 for a reason. He's getting the finish.
Yeah, I like Suzurkayev in this one as well. I think he can get the finish by however he wants. So we are in agreement there that Suzurkayev can get to 11 and 0. All right, looking over at the next fight, the always entertaining Angela Hill taking on Fatima Klein in 8-1. Probably the biggest name that Klein has fought to date. What is our read on this fight?
I think Angela Hill likes fighting the split decisions. I think she's really good. But I think when a prospect or a fighter is a little bit better than her, maybe a little bit more explosive, and I think Fatima Klein is that girl. I think she's a little bit better than her. I think she's going to get a decision win, 29-28. She's a good striker, a good grappler. I think she's legit.
So are we thinking, Jack, just to be a little bit more specific here, because I know we want to try to give the fans the best value that we possibly can on these. Do we think that a Klein split decision is more possible, or do we think a unanimous decision for Klein is potentially the way to go?
I think it's going to be a unanimous decision, personally.
Really, and do you think it's one of those unanimous decisions where it's an overall well balanced fight, or do you think this is one of those where Hill just simply isn't competitive at all? What do you think?
I think it's going to be competitive, but I think it's going to be like a clear win for Klein. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and when you say clear, you mean like once the fight is over, there's no question who's getting the decision, right?
Correct.
Okay, looking over at the next fight now, as I log these for you, Chape Erskal, he's actually local, as you and I both know, given that we're from Illinois. Fighting Pat Sabatini, actually a Rider Wrestling alum, and he's fighting at home once again. What do we think of this fight?
I see a lot of people picking Chepe Mariscal because he beat Pat Sabatini on the regional scene. But I think Pat Sabatini is going to get the job done with his wrestling. I think he's got to be good for 15 minutes. I think he's going to be able to do it.
Yeah, I think so too. I think this is a high level fight. I think it can go either way, but I think Marisco's best chance to victory is if he keeps it standing, and if he can't, I am with you. I think Sabatini wins as well. We are in mostly agreement in all of these fights, except I didn't make it clear. I actually think that Hill gets the upset win over Klein in a very, very close fight. Of fight that actually goes Angela Hill's way for a change. But moving on though, GM3 versus Kyle Dawkins. What do we think of that one?
Now, I love GM3. I love GM3. He's a great guy. He's a great fighter. I'm going to pick GM3 to win, but I am nervous because Kyle Dawkins, big favorite after the last performance. A lot of people are off the GM3 hype, but he's an old guy. I think Dawkins he was getting kind of finished by these people who can't do it. He got a big knockout his last fight, but it was kind of fluky. I don't know if he can submit Gerald Mearshart. I think Gerald Mearshart's going to submit Kyle Dawkins.
Really, I'm gonna have to disagree with you there and say that I actually think that Kyle Dawkins gets it done. I think his youth is gonna be a factor, and I just think that GM3 is too hit or miss. Every fight you think GM3 is gonna win, he underperforms, and I think this is potentially another one of those spots. So actually we actually disagree there. So there's a chance that it could get very interesting. Let's move on though and talk about the next fight. Moving up the card here, the next fight, your guy Malcolm Wallmaker versus Cody Haddon. I already know who you're picking, but I need to know what is your confidence level meter that Malcolm Wallmaker can get a finish in this fight, because I actually think it's very possible. What do you think?
I think it's going to be 100%. I think Malcolm Lawmaker gets a vicious knockout. And it's not going to be with the hands. It's going to be with a rear left knee. You hear to hear first. I think Cody Haddon's going to be shooting for the takedowns, going for the back, and he's got a great rear naked choke. But I think Lawmaker's the real deal. I think it's his time. I think it's his week. And I think he's going to get the job done.
Really? So, and do you think he has a chance with this exact rear naked prediction that you have? Do you think there's a chance that he could get a performance bonus? What do you think?
I mean, if he flatlines him with the rear knee like I think he will, I think there's going to be no doubt.
Okay, looking over at the next fight, a fight between two women that are very familiar with each other at 125 pounds. New Jersey's Erin Blanchfield taking on Tracy Cortez, who was who was uh, how do you say it? Who was highly cheered for at the Knicks game last night. What do we think of this one? And do you think this is a potential swing fight in the UFC flyweight division? Because I would argue that the answer is yes. What do you think?
I think it could be, but I think the odds say what's going to happen in this fight. As much as all the Gooners love Tracy Cortez, Aaron Blanchfield, the hometown native, is going to get the job done by unanimous decision. I think it's going to be a lot of clinching, a lot of takedowns, but I think Blanchfield's a better fighter.
Yeah, I think Blanchard is the better fighter too. We can agree on that. Next fight, Roman Kopylov versus Gregory Rodriguez. A pretty good fight in the middleweight division. It's a little bit of a difficult fight to read just because you don't know what Rodriguez you're going to get. What do what do we think? Do you think Kopylov is being written off, or do you think that Rodriguez is due for a signature win at the world's most famous arena? What do you think?
I think Roman Kopylov is being written off, but he's going to come back, show the world who he really is. He's going to get a second round knockout.
Really? Okay. That's interesting. We disagree there, or I'm all over on the Rodriguez side, but I could see it going either way. Just because, as you said, Kopylov has a chance to show the world who he really is. So that is interesting to note as well. Looking at the final prelim of the evening, Bo Nickel taking on Rodolfo Vieira. I feel like this is must-win territory for Bo Nickel. What do you think?
I think so too, and I think he is gonna win. I think he's either gonna get a vicious knockout on the feet, or I think it's gonna be a really, really stinky decision.
All right, moving over now to the main card, a potential fight of the night candidate here: Beneil Dariush versus BSD. What do we think of this fight?
I'm taking the heavy underdog, Vanille Dariush, to beat Benoit Saint Denis. I think he's just that guy.
Very interesting. We're gonna have to disagree here. I am picking BSD again. I could see this going either way, depending on what Dariush shows up. Looking over and moving on to the next fight on the main card. Leon Edwards, former UFC welterweight champion, taking on Carlos Prates, who's making a very quick turnaround after his win in Chicago in August. I feel like this is must-win territory for Leon Edwards to stay in the welterweight title mix, and I actually think he gets it done to halt the hype in Prates. I see a lot of people in the Prates side. I think championship experience is going to play a factor here. What do you think?
I think that Leon Edwards has a very clear path to victory with the grappling. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Carlos Prates, there's something about him. There's just, he's got it. You know what I'm saying? And Leon doesn't have it anymore. I think Carlos Prates is going to get on the front foot. It's 3 rounds only, and he's going to beat the shit out of Leon Edwards.
Okay, we shall see what happens there. Moving over to another fight and a common opponent of Leon Edwards, Sean Brady puts his 18-1 record on the line against the surging, undefeated Michael Morales. I think this fight is being slept on wholeheartedly. What do we think of this one? I think it's an awesome fight.
I think it's an awesome fight as well. That I think it goes one of two ways. I think either Michael Morales chins Sean Brady bad early, or I think Sean Brady finds a way to get a hold of him and drowns him.
What do we think, Jack?
I'm taking Sean Brady.
Okay, I am also taking Brady as well. Again, it's one of those fights where I've seen people on the Morales side, and I would not be surprised either way with how it plays out. All right, as we move to the climax of UFC 322, it is the co-main event of the evening, the women's super fight of all super fights. Valentina Shevchenko puts her UFC flyweight title on the line against Weili Zhang, who's moving up in weight from 115 pounds. A fight that probably should have happened a while ago is finally happening in a matter of about 48 hours plus or so. What do we think of this high-level championship fight between two of the best current female champion slash ex champions that we've had in quite some time? What's your read on this one? What do we think?
My gut feeling all week was Valentino was somehow going to get a split decision win, but I don't think that's the case anymore. I think Zhang Weili, she's more talented, she's younger, she's quicker, she's stronger, she's faster, she's a better striker. She maybe not better, but more aggressive. She's a better grappler. I'm taking Zhang Weili to win this fight via decision.
Okay, I'm on the opposite side of you. I think Shevchenko is due to show how good she really is. It's been, in my opinion, her time for a while, and I think this is one of those fights where I think consistent activity and five-round experience is going to play a factor. This is no disrespect to Zhang, but when you only fight once a year and you really have fought lesser competition for the last several years outside of maybe Rosenama units, I think that's a huge red flag in my opinion. So I'm on the opposite side as you. I think Valentina retains her UFC flyweight title. But either way, I think the flyweight division is going to be in a good place regardless of who comes out on top. And then finally, someone's winning streak has to go. 18 fight winning streak versus a 15 fight winning streak. Of course, we're talking about the main event of the evening, the fight of all fights, the fight that people have waited over 2.5 months to see. Recently crowned UFC welterweight champion Jack Della Maddalena, fresh off of a win in his last fight to earn the UFC welterweight title against now former champion Bilal Muhammad, taking on the former UFC lightweight champion Islam Makhachev, who's moving up a weight class to try to win a second title, and clearly he cemented himself as the pound for pound best fighter in the sport. What do we think of this one? I've seen a lot of debate all week across the MMA community. Where are you leaning on this one? What do we think?
headstrong and dead accurate. Jack Della Maddalena's getting the job done. He's knocking out Islam Makhachev. I cannot wait. I like Islam a lot. I like him a lot. He's a great champion. But Jack Della Maddalena is that guy. He's going to get the job done.
I don't know, man. We're gonna have to disagree here again. It's hard to pick against number one. I think Islam's moving up to 170 for a reason. I think it's clear to him that he can win another title, and I just simply I just simply think there's something about Islam that just makes him truly one of the most dominant fighters in the sport. So we disagree on a couple of these fights, including the main and co-main event. I understand that this card isn't happened yet, but if you were to rate it on a scale of 1 to 10 at least so far in the days leading up to it. How would you rank it, and how do you think the card will ultimately play out from an entertainment standpoint?
I mean, on paper, it's the best part of the year. Got to be a 9.5 out of 10. And I think it's going to deliver. I think we're going to have 8 finishes minimum.
Really? Okay, so out of those 8 finishes, in your mind, what will be potential guaranteed finishes out of the rough number 8 that you just alluded to, if you were to
I
guess?
think Camilo finishes Borshev. I think Sursakaya finishes McConico. I think Mo Maker finishes Haddon. I think Bo Nickel finishes Rodolfo Riera. I think Roman Kopilov finishes Robocop. I think Vanille Dariush goes to a decision with BSD. I think Prates finishes Leon. I think Brady finishes Morales. I think Jack Della finishes Islam.
Really, I'm gonna say I'm not gonna go as far as 8. I think there's gonna be between 4 or 5, but I do think it has a chance to be a very entertaining card. With the press conference, a short time away here in about an hour and a half, and given that we only have a few minutes left on stream, what are you most looking forward to about this press conference, and what do you think the energy is gonna be like in about an hour and a half or so?
Oh, the energy's already heavy up in here. If you can see this, we're about an hour beforehand, large lines, and I'm ready to go. The phone battery is dying though, so Zan, I am gonna have to let you go. This was a lovely episode. I'm happy we were able to do this on the move. You're gonna have to finish it out though, buddy. We got a big week here in New York City. Let's go.
We'll do it. We more than happy to finish it out and do the honors there. Have a good time at the press conference, and hopefully you charge your phone at some point soon. But go enjoy yourself, man. Have fun.
Thank you, sir. I'll talk to you later.
All right, have a good one. All right, so that was Jack Gold on location at Madison Square Garden. He won't be at the fights themselves, but he will be in the atmosphere today at the press conference, which is taking place at MSG. And then, of course, tomorrow evening, I think it's 5 or 6, I can't exactly remember, will be the weigh ins for UFC 322, the ceremonial weigh ins, which is an event that a lot of people look forward to. It's free with the ticket. I can attest, having gone to several weigh-ins now over the past several years. Let's think about this. UFC 238, I was at that weigh-in. UFC 225, I was at that weigh-in. UFC St. Louis, I was at that weigh-in. Was not. There were no ceremonials for Des Moines, so I had nothing to see there. Of course, I was at UFC 264, and then obviously I was at the UFC 319 weigh-in in August. I'm going to tell you what, regardless of how these events play out, there's nothing like a UFC weigh-in. It's a crazy spectacle. You would think guys and girls, quite frankly, um, tipping the scales, with very little clothing on, would be the most boring thing you've ever seen. But the UFC makes it a production. There's music. It's 30 minutes of just excitement, energy, people cheering for their favorite fighters. It's one of the coolest. I say this, even for people who don't understand the sport, it is one of the coolest experiences you will ever get, because it's one of those where you're up close and personal. You're not intimate with a fighter. You're not talking to said fighter, but you're right there. You're in the thick of things, and it's one of those where you can see the body language, you can see the stare downs. Dana White's in the building, Hunter Campbell's in the building. For most of these, the matchmakers are there too. They're watching every move. It's one of the cooler experiences that you'll get. I'm excited for Jack that he'll get to experience everything leading up to the event. Hopefully, by some miracle, although based on what he just said on stream, it seems like he won't be. going to the event. But nonetheless, though, it should be a good time. We disagree on a couple of picks. If you guys didn't already get the memo there, but we agreed on a lot of them. Just to go over my predictions as to who I have this weekend, specifically on the main card, I've got. Here we go. Let me just go through these for you guys. Um, wait, wait, all right. So on the main card, I have BSD, Leon Edwards, Sean Brady, Valentina Shevchenko, and Islam Makhachev. That's the main card. Who do I have on the prelims? Let's take one last look at that because I don't even remember who I took on the prelims. I have Bo Nickel, Gregor Rodriguez, Aaron Blanchfield, Malcolm Wallmaker, Kyle Dawkins, Pat Sabatini, Angela Hill, Bangor Suzurkaya with a vicious knockout, and Camilo by decision. Although I believe, based on what Jack just told me, that he has Camilo by finish. So it should be a fun card overall. I'm very much looking forward to it. And I'm trying to think as well. Hang on, let me just remind myself one more time. Yeah, I have Hill, and of course I have Sabatini, and I have Dawkins as well, um, which is one that he disagreed on. He thinks that Gerald Mershart will be able to do enough to win that fight. Um, yeah, and by the way, Dawkins' name is spelled very interestingly. It is with two U's, surprisingly, instead of just one U. But anyway, nonetheless, though, should be a fun card. Again, just as a reminder, Camilo, Suzurkayev, Hill, Sabatini, Dawkins, Wallmaker, Blanchfield, Rodriguez, Nickel, BSD, Edwards, Brady, Shevchenko, and Makhachev. Jack has Camilo, Suzurkayev, Klein, Sabatini, GM3, Wallmaker, Blanchfield, Kopilov, Nickel, Dariush, Prates, Brady, Zhang, and JDM. So those are our picks for UFC 322. To go over our records, Jack is sitting at 280, 182, and 4, while I am sitting at 258, 204, and 4. My record on UFC pay-per-view main cards in 2025 going into this event is 31, 22, and 2. UFC pay-per-view main event predictions are sitting at 500 with two events to go at 5-5. Let's hope I can finish 7-5 on the year as we have two pay-per-views left. This one, and then of course UFC 323 in December in Las Vegas. That, of course, is headlined by a huge main event between Merab Dvalishvili and Peter Yan. That is a rematch for the UFC Bantamweight Championship. All right, before we get out of here, just a few quick reminders. Less than 24 hours from now, you will be able to see Banda's Breakdowns episode 67, one of the better episodes we've done. It's the regular show like you guys are used to, but Michael Chandler is featured at the end of the episode. Exclusive interview. We go over his RAF fight with Chad Mendez, which is now 9 days away, or excuse me, 11 days away rather, from the or no, and actually 9 days away is correct. 9 days away from the Wintrust Arena against Chad Mendez. Sorry, I had my dates all thrown off. He is headlining that event. It's a stacked event. Corey Anderson, unfortunately, is out of that event. So I think instead of 12 matches, there's not going to be 11 because I don't think they'll be able to find a replacement for Anderson's opponent, which I'm pretty sure is Pat Downey. But nonetheless, that's in a couple weeks. This is going to do it, though, for the MMA Outsiders episode 142. We didn't get to the Jake Paul Anthony Joshua story like I had hoped we would, but just to keep it on time, though, that's going to do it for another edition. This has been the UFC 322 preview. Let's see how we do in predictions. Last week, I went 2-10. Jack went 8-4. Look for those picks Saturday, mid-morning, early afternoon, hours before the card, of course, and enjoy the fights and tailor fade, whatever you guys choose to do. But nonetheless, UFC pay-per-views are back. cherish them while you can. There's only 2 left for the year, and the UFC is off for about 5 weeks to begin 2026. So I hope you guys have a wonderful weekend. Greatly, greatly appreciated as usual. It is 3:30 p.m. Eastern. I got to get out of here. I am and Bando. Shout out to Jack Gold for joining me as always and making the show what it is. We will see you guys next week back on Tuesday to recap everything that was UFC 322, and we will go right into previewing UFC Qatar on Thursday. So stay tuned for all that. I hope you guys have a great weekend. Good luck on predictions. Enjoy the fights this week, and I will see you.